before the torches are lit, before fleets are launched, before Italy is drowned in blood. An empire dares to dream again. Constantinople, 535 AD. Within the gilded halls of the great palace, Emperor Justinian I stands alone, with the weight of history pressing down upon him. He does not look at borders on parchment. He looks at loss, at provinces torn away, at Rome, once eternal, now broken, ruled by barbarians, its glory reduced to memory. For 60 years, the Western Roman Empire has been dead. Justinian refuses to accept that. With a single command, he challenges the verdict of history itself. Across the sea, he sends his deadliest weapon, not an army, but a man, Belisarius, young, ruthless, brilliant, a general who wins wars he should not survive. His mission is impossible. Reclaim Italy, crush the Ostrogothic kingdom, and restore Roman rule where it has not existed for generations. It is not conquest. It is resurrection. What follows is 19 years of unrelenting war. Cities strangled by siege until starvation drives men mad. Victories undone by betrayal. Armies annihilated in streets once walked by emperors and senators. From the beaches of Sicily, to the ruined walls of Rome, to the final collapse at Ravenna, Italy becomes a battlefield without mercy. A land bled white in the name of an empire that refuses to die. This is the Gothic War, a campaign of staggering brilliance and catastrophic cost, a war that reshaped the Mediterranean, shattered Italy, and nearly broke Byzantium itself. And by the time it ends, Justinian will learn a brutal truth. Some ghosts demand too much to bring back. Strap in tight, because we are marching through imperial obsession, battlefield genius, strategic disaster, and the war that proved even Rome's shadow could destroy those who chased it. Part 1. Setup. Justinian's dream and the fall of the West. Flash back to 527 AD, Constantinople, heart of the Eastern Roman Empire. The city gleams with marble, gold, and ambition. A new emperor sits upon the gilded throne. Justinian I, young, relentless, and consumed by one singular vision. Rome must be whole again. To him, the collapse of the West is not permanent. It is merely a pause, a wound he intends to heal with blood and steel. The West, however, is no simple prize. Since 476 AD, imperial authority has crumbled. Italy, once the beating heart of Rome, is ruled by the Ostrogoths, a Germanic kingdom that governs Roman cities, preserves Roman law, and imitates Roman administration. Under Theodoric the Great, the balance was delicate, but it endured. Rome's legacy still breathes through Gothic hands. Then, in 526, Theodoric dies. His heir, Athalaric, is a child. Power falls to his mother, Amalasuntha, Romanized, brilliant, and despised by Gothic nobles. Court intrigues fester. Factions form. Authority fractures. By 535, Amalasuntha is imprisoned and assassinated. For Justinian, this is the opening he has waited for. Declares a casus belli. The Goths have murdered a Roman ally. Their right to rule Italy is void. And with that decree, the reconquest of the West is set in motion, a campaign to resurrect an empire thought lost. The instrument of this audacious gamble is one man, Belisarius. Young, cunning, and undefeated, Belisarius has already shattered the Vandal kingdom in North Africa with a force smaller than his enemies. Now, he is entrusted with just 15,000 men, a fraction of what Rome once fielded. Byzantine infantry, cavalry, foederati, and mercenaries, enough to strike swiftly, enough to gamble everything. Opposing him, the Ostrogoths. 20,000 to 40,000 warriors, led by King Vitiges, entrenched in cities, divided by factional strife, and unready for the storm Belisarius is about to unleash. The stakes could not be higher. Success. Rome's unity reborn. The West reclaimed. Glory immortal. Failure. The Eastern Empire bleeds, chasing a shadow. The dream of restoration dies, along with thousands of men. In the summer of 535, Belisarius sails west. The Mediterranean winds whip the sails. The banners rise like lightning over the horizon. Every man knows the gamble, and yet they move as one. The long, brutal struggle for Italy has begun, and the fate of an empire hangs in the balance. Part 2. Belisarius's Blitz. Sicily, Naples, and the Siege of Rome, 535 to 538. The invasion begins in 535 AD, and it hits like a thunderclap. Sicily, ancient gateway to Italy, falls almost without a fight. Town after town opens its gates to Belisarius's small but lethal army. Palermo surrenders by December. In mere months, Sicily transforms into a Byzantine staging ground. The Gothic myth of invincibility cracks, and whispers of a reconquest ripple through Italy. By 536, Belisarius crosses to the mainland. Rhegium falls in his wake. Roads north open like veins of opportunity. His army moves with the precision of a scalpel, bypassing fortified points, striking where Gothic hesitation breeds panic. Each maneuver bleeds fear into the Gothic heart. This is no longer a raid. This is the rebirth of Rome's empire in motion. Then comes Naples, the first real test. Its walls are stout. Supplies run perilously low. Momentum teeters. But Belisarius strikes with genius. Guided by hidden aqueducts, Byzantine soldiers slip into the city under cover of darkness. The city falls from within. The Gothic defenders slaughtered or scattered. The message is clear. Resistance is punished. Innovation rewarded. Rome trembles at the news. In December 536, Belisarius enters the Eternal City unopposed. For the first time since 476, a Roman general wields authority in Rome. The city's marble still glimmers, the Senate halls still echo with ghosts, but it is fragile, undermanned, vulnerable. Symbolism is everything. Rome is alive, but barely. The Goths respond with fury. 537. King Vitiges marches south with nearly 30,000 men, encircling Rome in a ring of steel. What follows is a year-long crucible. Belisarius commands barely 5,000 defenders. Aqueducts are cut. Supplies dwindle. Disease spreads like wildfire. Gothic assaults hammer walls at the Salarian Gate, the Pincian Hill, the Mausoleum of Hadrian. Each attack is met with ingenuity. Night raids, fire on siege towers, flooded camps. Belisarius turns defense into relentless attrition, punishing the punisher. Rome becomes a battlefield of mind, steel, and endurance. Civilians starve inside. Outside, the Gothic army rots in disease and despair. By March 538, the unthinkable happens. Gothic morale breaks. Up to 20,000 men lost. Plague, hunger, and constant harassment take their toll. Vitiges retreats north. Rome holds against impossible odds. Belisarius does not pause. Rimini falls, threatening the Gothic capital of Ravenna. Vitiges sues for peace. Compromise. Survival. Justinian refuses. No half measures. No divided Italy. Only total submission. And here is the twist. The war is far from over. The Goths do not die. They adapt. They reorganize. From the ashes of defeat rises a new leader, Totila, ruthless, cunning, determined to make Italy a graveyard for the Eastern Romans. The storm is not over. The reconquest has only begun. Part 3, Gothic Revival, Totila's Terror, and Belisarius's Recall, 540 to 549. In 540, it seems the war is finally over. Ravenna falls. The Gothic capital opens its gates, not to storm, but to deception. Belisarius, cunning and patient, accepts a supposed Gothic surrender, enters the city, and captures King Vitiges himself. Italy appears reclaimed, a Roman dream restored. But then, Justinian's choice changes everything. The East trembles. Persia threatens the empire's heartlands. Justinian recalls his greatest general. Belisarius is pulled from Italy, leaving behind unfinished conquest, half-secured cities, and fragile victory. The moment he leaves, the war rebirths itself in fire and blood. From the ashes rises Totila, young, brilliant, and ruthless. The Ostrogothic crown now wears a predator's face. Totila does not mimic Rome. He adapts. He moves fast. He strikes fear into garrisons, spares the obedient, destroys the defiant. Cities whisper his name like a curse. Villages empty at his approach. Word spreads. Resistance is death. Submission is survival. By 541, the Gothic tide is unstoppable. Byzantine forces are crushed at Verona and Faenza. Garrison after garrison surrenders. Supply lines collapse. Italy bleeds. The countryside is abandoned. Famine stalks the roads. Plague spreads like wildfire, tightening its grip on armies and civilians alike. The reconquest has become a war against hunger, disease, and despair itself. Totila turns his eyes to Rome. In 546, the city, once immortal, faces his siege. There is no miracle defense, no Belisarius. Rome starves. For months, walls stand hollow, gates sealed against hope. And then, with a final push, Totila enters. Senators are executed. Walls are torn down. The eternal city becomes a ghost. Monuments hollowed, streets deserted, the population scattered. Belisarius returns in 549, but the hero of Sicily and Naples is now strangled by politics and imperial caution. He restores walls with desperate speed, but men, money, and authority are denied. Rivals undermine him. Justinian hesitates. Totila strikes again. Rome changes hands once more. Italy is no longer a prize. It is a patchwork of ruins, burned towns, and desolate fields. Neither side can deliver the final blow. The war grinds on, relentless, purposeless, catastrophic. By the late 540s, the truth is undeniable. Belisarius has failed. Not for lack of brilliance, but for lack of support. The Gothic War is no longer a conquest. Italy is no longer a battleground. It is a corpse. And now Justinian turns to a different kind of commander. Not a brilliant improviser, not a charismatic hero, but a relentless executor. His name is Narses, and he will end the war, not with genius, but with annihilation. Part 4. Narses's Hammer. Taganai, Mons Lactarius, and Gothic Collapse, 551 to 554. In 551, Justinian abandons half measures. Belisarius had fought with brilliance and restraint. Narses is sent with something else entirely. Overwhelming force. The eunuch general, methodical, ruthless, and politically untouchable, marches into Italy at the head of nearly 30,000 men. This is not an expeditionary army. It is a final solution. Lombards, heralds, Armenians, Byzantine infantry, massed archers, and heavy cavalry move as one. Supply lines are secured. Money flows. Orders are absolute. The war will end. In 552, Totila moves to stop him. The two armies meet near Taganai, also called Busta Gallorum, the Field of the Gauls. Totila brings roughly 20,000 men, confident in speed and shock. Narses chooses the ground carefully. His army forms a crescent, infantry and archers anchored at the center, cavalry hidden on the flanks. Totila attacks and is destroyed. As Gothic cavalry charges, they are funneled inward into a killing zone. Byzantine archers unleash disciplined, concentrated fire. Arrows tear into packed formations. Momentum collapses. When the Goths falter, Narses releases his cavalry. The counterattack is surgical and merciless. Totila is wounded in flight. He dies before nightfall. With him dies the heart of Gothic resistance. The Goths crown a final king, Teas, and retreat south to the slopes of Mons Lactarius, near Mount Vesuvius. There, in October 552, the last Ostrogothic army makes its stand. The battle is desperate. The fighting is savage. For 2 days, the Goths hold out, cut off, starving, fighting hand to hand among rocks and ravines. Teas himself charges repeatedly into Byzantine lines, shield bristling with arrows. At last, he is struck down. His head is raised on a spear. The Ostrogothic kingdom dies with him. By 554, remaining pockets of resistance are crushed. Frankish and Alemanni invaders are defeated. Italy is, on paper, restored to Roman rule. Justinian has his victory. But Italy is unrecognizable. Cities lie in ruins. Aqueducts are broken. Fields are abandoned. The population has collapsed from famine, plague, and war. The peninsula that once fed the empire is The Gothic War is over. Rome is reconquered, and Italy is broken. The question that now hangs over history is not whether Justinian won, but whether victory itself was worth the price. Because the legacy of this war will echo far beyond its final battles into the fate of Italy, the empire, and the world that follows. Part 5: Aftermath and Legacy. A Pyrrhic victory and Italy's ruin. When the fighting finally ends, Italy is unrecognizable. 2 decades of near-constant warfare have shattered the peninsula. Cities once dense with life are hollowed-out shells. Aqueducts lie broken. Farmland is abandoned. Famine and plague follow the armies like shadows, cutting the population of some regions by half. Rome itself, captured and recaptured multiple times, shrinks to a ghost of its former self. The Eastern Roman Empire claims victory, but the cost is staggering. Justinian's treasury is drained by endless campaigning, fortifications, and mercenary pay. Resources that once defended the Balkans and the eastern frontier have been bled into Italy's ruins. The empire is now overextended, victorious, but vulnerable. The weakness shows quickly. In 568, barely 14 years after the war ends, the Lombards surge into Italy. There is no great imperial response. Exhausted garrisons fall back. Within years, most of the peninsula slips beyond Byzantine control once again. What remains are scattered strongholds: Ravenna, Rome, and parts of the south, isolated remnants of Justinian's dream. And yet, the legacy is not only destruction. Byzantine law, administration, and art leave a permanent imprint. Ravenna's mosaics still gleam with imperial authority. Roman legal traditions survive in Justinian's codification, shaping European governance for centuries. The war preserves elements of Roman continuity even as it proves Rome can no longer rule the world it created. Contemporary voices understood the tragedy. Procopius, Justinian's own historian, records both triumph and horror. He immortalizes Belisarius as a model of generalship, while quietly revealing the staggering human cost of imperial ambition. The Gothic War becomes a case study in victory without renewal. In the end, Justinian does not fail, but he does not truly succeed either. Italy is reclaimed, but broken. The empire is expanded, but weakened. Rome's authority is restored, but only as a memory. The Gothic War defines Justinian's reign not as a golden age, but as a warning that even the greatest ambitions, when pushed too far, can consume the very world they seek to save. Conclusion: the empire that could not be rebuilt. The Gothic War ends with victory, but not with renewal. Justinian set out to do what no ruler had dared since the fall of the West: to restore Rome not as memory, but as reality. And on paper, he succeeded. Italy was reclaimed. Imperial law returned. The banners of Constantinople once again flew over Rome. But conquest is not resurrection. 19 years of war reduced Italy to exhaustion. Cities were emptied, fields abandoned, and the population shattered by famine and plague. By the time the empire secured its prize, there was little left to rule. The Roman world Justinian sought to revive had already died beneath the weight of the struggle to reclaim it. The lesson of the Gothic War is stark. Military brilliance cannot reverse history. Belisarius and Narses won every decisive battle, but they could not restore the social, economic, and demographic foundations that made Roman rule possible. Empire, once broken, cannot simply be stitched back together with armies. For Byzantium, cast in victory, yet weakened by effort, this war marks the end of expansion and the beginning of survival. For Italy, it marks the final collapse of the ancient world and the full arrival of the medieval age. Justinian dreamed of reviving Rome. Instead, he proved why Rome could never return. The empire won the war, but history had already moved on.